today's tutorial we're going to be learning on how to make the sachet, and this is by Red Heart. Absolutely gorgeous frill yarn, and you will see it in the store shelves, and it will look like this. It's by Boutique, and it is the Red Heart sachet. And what I find, it's 100 grams or 3.5 ounces, and that I find in comparison to other yarns available on the market that you'll get about an extra foot longer scarf by using the Red Heart sachet. So let's get started and showing you how to operate this. The first thing you're going to notice, it's going to look like a shoelace when it comes off of the ball, but what you want to do is you want to open it up. Okay, so the sparkly part is the end of the frill, just like you see there, and then the thinner part up in the top, the last loops is where we want to work. So we kind of want to stretch it out at this point. We're going to use a 5.5 millimeter crochet or knitting needle, or a US 9. So that's what we're going to do, and let's cast on and get you started on making these Red Heart sachet scarves. The first advice I want to tell you is that some people tell you that you need to use every loop when it comes to working with the edge right here. I say, you know what, you can, but I used every other one when I did mine. It made it a lot easier and the process a lot more simpler to do when I did it. So all I need to do to cast on is that I'm going to put the knitting needle through. Okay, I'm going to skip a loop and I'm going to put the next one just like that. I'm going to skip one, I'm going to put the next one. I'm going to skip one, and I'm going to put the next one, and I'm going to skip another, and I only want to put 6 across. So you can count how many's on here now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just have to put one more on, and we're done the casting on process. And now we just begin to knit. To knit this, all we need to do is put our knitting needle under the first loop. Okay, and so when we operate this, we don't ever want to wrap the whole thing around because you'll lose everything, all the frills, right? So what you have to just do is open it up, and you want to go every other loop. So this is the next one available, so I don't want that one. I want to go to the second one around and just put it onto the knitting needle and just flip it forward like we would normally do with knitting. Let's go to the next one. So I'm looking at it, maybe you can judge it here, is that this is the next loop available. So I want to go to the second one over, and again I want to flip it. By knitting needles are really long. I would prefer a lot smaller knitting needles when it comes to length. It'd be a lot easier to operate. So I'm going to skip the next loop and put the second one on and flip it forward. Next one. And by only doing 6 stitches like this, it doesn't make it for a very tedious project. I am slowing down for the camera, and the angle in which I'm filming is also a little bit rough as well for me. So we're just coming in, going the second over. You do eventually get used to looking for the second right away. It's not something that you have to spend a lot of time looking for, I found, but you just have to keep with it. Okay, so that was the very last one. So that's it, and what we just need to do, you have all 6 now on your knitting needles, and you can see that the frill is now staying open. We're going to switch hands. Okay, and we're going to start the next process by just coming up and knitting as normal. So when we knit as normal, we again want to maintain it. So we're going to skip to the second one over, put it on. Okay, second one over. And you don't want to get lazy about, you know, what loops that you want to put on here as well. You do want to try to maintain it as much as you can for consistency. What you're going to notice, because of this yarn, the way that it's wrapped, the yarn is actually coming off the ball perfectly, and you'll find with yourself every time you go to rotate your needles, when you go back and forth, that you're going to constantly turn in a circle by always switching around. And with this kind of yarn, like normal twirl yarn, it actually affects that. So what we want to do is that normally I would just go like this and reset, but every now and then I'm going to have to turn it the other way, all the way around, so that this doesn't get tangled up going to the yarn ball. So let's begin the casting off process so I can show you that right now. So you're going to get about 5 feet of length by the time that you're done the whole yarn ball that you have. Okay, so if you want to have one that's shorter, don't use the whole yarn ball. So let's begin the casting off process. We're going to begin to knit. So you got to make sure you leave out enough on the end that you can do this. Okay, so basically you just need, I guess, 12 loops total. So let's knit the first one as normal, slide it off, and the second one we want to knit as normal as well, again maintaining the distance of the every other one. And now I'm going to slip in my needle to the first one, and I'm going to just gently pull it over the other one like that. And now we're going to knit the next one. Okay, and we're going to take that one, the first one, and we're going to do that. Okay, so we're going to do the next one, knit, the wonderful thing about this yarn is that you don't need any fancy stitch work because the ruffles are so fabulous. So that the ruffles are going to cover up your stitch work. You just need to do the knitting in order to stabilize the project. So you can see I'm casting off like I would if I was a normal project for knitting. It's nothing new. So people have a question right at the very end. I notice when I do live shows teaching something similar to this. And this is the last one going up and over. Okay, and we have one more loop. So what I do for that is I just hold it and I grab my fancy dancy scissors and I cut my yarn. And what I do very carefully is that I take that piece like that and I rip it through, I actually just put it through that loop, the whole thing. And usually what I can just do is grab a crochet hook if you have access to that. Again, my camera angle, I'm actually standing underneath studio lights right now, so I'm kind of having a tough time with that. So we want to pull that through, okay, and I want to tie a knot. So you're thinking to yourself, well, are you going to see that? And the reality is that the ruffles are so great that you will not really see this at all. So I'm going to tie a knot, and then what I'm going to just do now is that I'm going to trim it even more. So what happens is that when you're using this project and you go to do this, when it goes over the bottom like that, so you'll never really see it anyway. It's actually, it'd be more well hidden when you actually get the whole thing done. But that's how you would do for the Red Heart Sashay.